Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webcast on how SOLIDWORKS Professional goes beyond SOLIDWORKS Standard. I'm the moderator, Krista Prokos. Before we get started, I want to let you know that you can submit questions for today's presenter by typing them into the Q&A panel at any time. We'll collect them and address them at the end of the presentation. Now, I'd like to introduce our presenter. We're happy to have with us today Laura Nickerson. Laura is an application engineer at Fisher Unitech and a SOLIDWORKS expert. Laura, take it away.
Thank you, Krista, for that warm introduction. And hello, everyone. Like Krista said, my name is Laura Nickerson. I'm an application engineer with Fisher Unitech. So my background is in industrial design and mechanical design. I have 17 years experience designing consumer products and their components. But enough about me. We're here to talk about how SOLIDWORKS Professional goes beyond SOLIDWORKS Standard. So SOLIDWORKS Standard, and really each version of SOLIDWORKS 3D CAD, is great at creating your parts, your drawings, and assemblies. SOLIDWORKS Professional goes beyond Standard in that it also includes tools and features that not only improve productivity, it also addresses other aspects of product development, such as communication, reverse engineering, data management, and cost impact, just to name a few. So if you're looking for further, more encompassing functionality, SOLIDWORKS Professional is chock full of tools to help you do a better job. So today we're going to take a look at SOLIDWORKS Toolbox, PDM, costing, and visualize, with some time at the end for questions and answers. And it's a tall order for 30 minutes, so let's get started first with Toolbox. So we're going to work on this router assembly today. SOLIDWORKS Toolbox is a library of standard parts and tools that you can use to speed up your design process. It's an add-in that you'll need to activate, and it's located in the task pane. The Toolbox browser arranges the components by a wide variety of international and corporate standards, and then by type. So off the shelf, the Toolbox contains thousands of standard hardware items, nuts, bolts, washers, etc. So we're already using half the power of the Toolbox when we use the Hole Wizard feature in our parts. Okay, the Hole Wizard features specifies our holes by specifying the fasteners. So now here in the assembly mode, we can specify smart fasteners, and we select our Hole Wizard feature, and the appropriate fastener gets assembled. We have the opportunity to change the size on the fly, and in the Property Manager, we can make further changes to the length, the thread, the drive type, even the thread display. So the Smart Fastener command automatically assembled the screw to all the instances in this pattern in minimal time and really with no effort. So now let's continue, and we're going to take a look at the PCB assembly. And we're going to add screws to the mounting tabs of the sheet metal part. Now these holes are made with extruded cuts, not the Hole Wizard. So that means we're just going to have to specify the fastener, and we simply pick up the screw and we drag and drop it onto the hole. Again, we have the opportunity to change the size, and we can make further changes again in our Property Manager. So the Toolbox component remains attached to the cursor, so I can continue dropping the screw into all the different holes that I choose. Now notice I did not use the mate tool to assemble any of these screws. The Toolbox are created with mate references, so that means you can think more about your design and less about how to do things in SOLIDWORKS. So one note about the Toolbox components, these are read-only, and they're created with the least amount of features or CAD information, so it will not impact the performance of your assemblies. And you can configure the Toolbox for your environment and your company standards. So you have the ability to deselect certain standards that you do not use, or you can deselect different hardware types that you do not use. This is going to simplify your workspace. You can add standards, you can modify some sizes, you can add custom properties to the hardware, and I'm going to add a description custom property. Okay, so there it is. And for all you CAD admins, you can set permissions or passwords to control adding or modifying the toolbox parts. And that provides just an extra layer of security. So to recap, SOLIDWORKS Toolbox is fully integrated with SOLIDWORKS Professional software. It allows us to use smart fasteners and drag and drop standard components, speeding up the design process. The components are created as simplified representations with minimal impact to your assembly performance. The toolbox can be configured to your preferences and protected to your company policies. All of this is going to save you time, it's going to save you money, and you'll get your product out the door sooner. Okay, so next up is PDM. PDM is a software tool that overlaps SOLIDWORKS. It helps companies organize, control, and share data more effectively. It permanently stores CAD models and all related project documents in a central repository called the Vault, and you're going to hear that term often. So you copy the files from the Vault to your local system to do your work. This is called checking files out. When complete, you check the files back in, permanently saving them in the Vault. Now this will create a new version of your design. So not only is PDM storing and retrieving files, it also tracks, controls, and saves all those versions and revisions in the history, eliminating any concerns of data loss. It facilitates data reuse. If you want to use a component from another project, you can add it to your design, you can rename it, you can move it to a different folder, and you will not compromise that other project. PDM retains all those complicated file relationships. A workflow is set up in PDM. This is the development cycle specific to your company's procedures, and it automates the document approval process. So let's just take a quick look at a very simplified workflow of a design and approval process. Your files are going to be in any one of these states shown in the boxes, and they move from box to box via transitions. You can set up notifications in the transitions to send a message to, say, an engineering manager to review and approve the design. This ensures your project is continually moving forward. Let's go ahead and look at the PDM interface. So here we are, we're in my C drive, here's the folders, and here's my Vault. Looks like just like any other folder. So you have to log into the Vault, and I'm going to log in as the admin, which has all the rights and permissions. Now only users with active PDM usernames and passwords can log into the system. Users are given certain permissions within the Vault structure that will keep your confidential documents confidential, or it will limit the tasks one can do in the Vault. So here we are, looking at my folders in the Vault. It has the same structure as Windows Explorer, all right? The folders are green. That denotes we're in the Vault. It has the same look and feel as Windows Explorer, something we're very familiar with. However, PDM provides more intelligent information than Windows Explorer. We can preview the files with e-drawings. It means it can be rotated. And with SOLIDWORKS Professional, you can take measurements off of the e-drawing. And each file has an associated data card. This is the metadata associated with the file. It writes the custom properties. The data card can be customized with any information that you want. I show the file name, the description, whether it was a purchased part or a built part or hardware. I also show its current state from the workflow and the revision. Now, all this information on our data card can be searched using PDM's extensive search tools. For instance, I can search my entire vault for files that have antenna, the word antenna, in the description. I click on my search. PDM lists out all the parts, drawings, and assemblies that has antenna. Now I can preview these right from the search results. PDM also shows me where these files are located, making information fast and easy to find. Okay, so let's go back to that interface, and that's the data card. Now let's go to the version tab. The version tab shows me the local version, which is the copy that's on my system, and the latest version stored in the vault. This is a check to know that I'm working with the most up-to-date data. And here's the bill of materials of the assembly. Now I'm looking at this information. It's the bill of materials. I'm looking at this information without going into SOLIDWORKS. We're still in the PDM environment. The Contains tab, it shows us which files are being referenced. And now the Where Used, it shows us which assemblies use this part. And again, I see that other assembly that was shown in our search. Okay, so moving up and go across the top banner, the columns show a lot of that same information. And we have a revision column. These files have been released and at revision A. Also, we have a checked out by column. And you can sort the column data, same as Windows Explorer. So when you check a file out of the vault, you take ownership of the file to do your work. That means no one else can check out the files or make changes. Others can, however, open the files and they can view them, but they'll be opened as read-only. Again, showing this column, the state of each component from the workflow. Some are change in process, some are released, and now here is the type, purchased, built, or hardware. Now we need to continue our design work. We're going to work on the backplate of our router assembly, and we've been asked to reduce the weight and reduce the cost on this part. In order to do that, we're going to use the SOLIDWORKS costing tool. And then we'll come back to the workflow and we'll come back to PDM when our changes are complete. So also included in the professional license is SOLIDWORKS costing for individual piece parts. Costing helps estimate the cost of parts, and in our case, the backplate sheet metal part. You can run a costing evaluation on a wide variety of applications: sheet metal, machining, casting, plastic, 3D printing, and structural members. It is important to note the costing tool is only as accurate as the information the user inputs into the template. Its primary intent is to give designers the approximate cost of the part and how changes can affect the cost. All right, so let's take a look at our sheet metal part. So we're going to go to the Evaluate tab, and we're going to open the costing tool. It extracts data from the part, the material, the thickness, and it automatically calculates the cost, shown here in green. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can look at the steps or the process to build each feature. For our sheet metal part, it's the cuts and the bends. And you can see how much these steps cost. And I can add a custom operation, such as painting, or a new one, and this would also adjust the total cost. Now, the steps to build the part are generated from the geometry. They're not generated from the SOLIDWORKS features. So you can use the costing tool on non-SOLIDWORKS parts as well. Costing requires you to do a little homework. You have to set up the template. You need to set up your materials and any subcategories for that material. So ours is a sheet metal template, So we'll need to add the cost per thickness per sheet stock size. And you can apply fixed costs to sheet metal features such as cuts, bends, hems, or library features. Now, the better the info is in the template, the better your cost estimation. So we've been asked to reduce the weight, so we're going to make some changes. Let's first remove one of the mounting tabs. Okay, well, let's keep the costing tool open. It automatically recalculates the cost as we're making changes. Let's resize the flange, and once again, it's going to update the cost. Now, the costing tool provides valuable insight, valuable in terms of dollars and cents, into your design decisions. Now let's take a look at production in the sheet stock size. We can add offsets to the bounding box, and we can add offsets to the edge of the sheet stock, and the new cost will be calculated. Costing shows you the percentage of the scrap, maximum yield, and then how it's going to be nested in the sheet stock for production. Okay, so this looks good. I'm going to generate a detailed report. This shows up as a Microsoft Office document. And the report shows a lot of great information from the piece part, cost, and breakdowns. It shows the flat pattern, lot size, the nested layout, shows any setup cost, and the cost of each feature. Now, the Word document can be customized to your company's template as well. It's a lot of great information to know before the parts are even prototyped. Now, one last thing to note, when the costing calculation is complete, this information is stored in the model as a custom property. So we have the total cost, custom property, the material cost, and the manufacturing cost as a custom property. And these can be referenced and used just like any other custom property in SOLIDWORKS. Automatic cost estimation, and it's attached directly to your SOLIDWORKS model as a custom property. You track your costs, and you can gain insight into the impact on your budget. It's customizable for your particular operation, your setup costs, your material costs, and your machine usage costs. Design optimization for cost and function. You make better design decisions, increasing the quality of your parts. Okay, so we're happy with our revision, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at the drawing. We see the previous revision A in the Rev table, as well as in the title block. We need to add a new revision line to our Rev table. And we need to do this for the change to a single mounting tab. So I'll just type that into the description. Now, the Rev table places a dash in the revision column because our changes have not yet been approved. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's first save this document, and we'll close out of the SOLIDWORKS files. Now, in PDM, the first thing we need to do is check in the files. Okay? So we need to pick the part in the drawing, and we check the files in. And in PDM, I set up a rule that with any transaction, I have to add a comment. This is important for our history. All right, check the files in. Notice the admin is cleared from the checked out by list. And our state is in change in process. Okay, it's just a little bit of an explanation. Before we started today, all the files were at released. And we were at Rev A. And I changed the files from released, sent them through the process of the transition, and they are now in change in process on the few parts that we're working on. Now we're going to walk our changes through the workflow until we are here at released. and we're going to see how PDM handles this. So again, I'm going to select the part in the drawing, and I'm going to submit these for approval. And since I have that rule, I have to add my comment, single mounting tab. Notice the change has been, the state has now changed to pending approval. Now this transaction will send a notification to an engineering manager or someone with approval permission. And since I'm logged into as admin, I have all rights and permissions. I'm going to approve these changes. And now the new state is in released. And notice the revision has been bumped up and the data card has been updated. And if we preview our drawing, that new Rev B, that's shown in the title block, as well as in the Rev table. Now you may think that I overwrote that previous revision of this backplate, but the history of this file shows all of the versions, all of the revisions, and those important comments. I can view any of these in the e-drawings. And here is a revision with the two mounting tabs, and Rev A is in the Rev table and title block. Now, should we decide to move forward with a previous design, the get command will retrieve that selected version. PDM tracks all the design history, so you are assured you will not overwrite or lose data. And finally, has it ever happened that someone moves all your files around or renames them without consulting you? Now, I know they're trying to be helpful, but boy, what a mess. In PDM, you can rename or move files around freely, and you will not drill holes in your assembly. So I'm going to rename that antenna assembly that we looked at earlier. Okay. The Preview tab, it previews correctly. And now when I go to the Where Used tab, it still shows the PCB assembly along with the other project that uses our antenna. But the truth will be when we open the assembly in SOLIDWORKS and see if we have any missing components. And it opens with no issues. And the new name, it's in the component tree. PDM manages all those relationships so that you can reuse data. You can move it, you can rename it, and it's all good. So SOLIDWORKS PDM, it's the interface you know. It's Windows Explorer, so there's no learning curve there. It provides secure storage in one location, assuring you are working on the most up-to-date and accurate information. It keeps track of all your data in the history of versions and revisions, eliminating the fear of overwriting data. It keeps and maintains all those complicated file relationships so that you can reuse data freely and no more remodeling. And with an automated approval process, it keeps your project moving forward and according to your company's procedures. PDM will increase your daily productivity and overall accelerate the design process. It's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, it's going to save you effort. Okay, so the last thing to show you today is Visualize Standard that comes with the seat of SOLIDWORKS Professional. Leverage your design work. Leverage all the time you spent creating your 3D models and create photorealistic images directly from your CAD model. No more compromising the quality of your presentations or marketing materials by using screenshots. You can create an array of images showcasing the product options or different design directions. You're going to save the cost of looks-like models, and you're going to save the cost of product photography. So shown here are some of the features of Visualize Standard. From a powerful ray tracing engine to an interactive interface, It's easy to bring your products to life. So use your SOLIDWORKS CAD file. You go from ordinary to captivating. Tell a better story using photorealistic images from Visualize. SOLIDWORKS files are opened directly in Visualize and are monitored for changes, creating a seamless workflow. Visualize allows for exploration for design variation. And Visualize imports your existing appearance definitions directly from SOLIDWORKS, saving you lots of time. It also has a cloud library of various Visualize imagery and content, including a large catalog of appearance files. Now, appearances are easily applied in Visualize in the same intuitive way as in SOLIDWORKS, with a simple drag and drop. In playing the what if game, the appearance can be previewed with a drag just to test out the look. Now, these appearance files are automatically downloaded to your local library when applied to your model. Once in your local library, the appearance definitions can be customized on the fly to your liking. This will not make any changes to that original appearance found on the cloud. Environments are added to give context to your image. The environment provides realistic lighting in the scene and lifelike reflections in your model. It can be adjusted so that your reflections make perfect sense. The environment can also be the background of your scene, or you can use a backplate image as the background. The camera in Visualize is basically the viewport. What you see is what you get, eliminating any guesswork in camera angles and lighting. Multiple cameras can be set up, multiple camera views can be set up to capture all the features of your design. And navigating the model using pan and zoom is actually manipulating the camera. And oh, by the way, Visualize uses the same navigation mouse keys as SOLIDWORKS, furthering the intuitive use. When complete, you use the option to render all cameras. And Visualize will create a single image for each camera. I mean, seriously, can it get any easier? And here is the final rendering using a gradient backplate as the background. And the environment here is used as the background of this image. So the intuitive interface makes it easy to produce photo quality images quickly. And your stakeholders will have a better understanding of your design using real-life imagery. Again, Visualize is easy to learn, easy to use, and easy to produce photo quality images quickly. It's linked to SOLIDWORKS and monitored for changes for a seamless workflow. This is going to reduce the risk. Reduce the risk by validating your designs early on. It's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, and thus accelerate the time to market. Well, I see that I am close to my time limit, and as you can see, the expanded capabilities of SOLIDWORKS Professional cannot be contained, especially in a mere 30 minutes. The fully integrated, intuitive, easy-to-use features and tools will improve communication and collaboration at many levels. It's going to improve your daily productivity and efficiency, ensure accuracy, and improve the quality of your designs. And ultimately, it's going to reduce the development cycle, time, and cost. Well, that is all I have. Thank you very much for joining me today. We'll post the recording of this webcast on our YouTube channel.